In a move that will reshape history, the world has just witnessed a seismic shift in the balance of global power. The news broke with a sense of gravity rarely seen, sending shockwaves through capitals and boardrooms alike. 10 Asian nations have announced a coordinated shift in foreign policy, standing together in a display of unity that has not been seen in decades. Their message is clear: the future of Asia will be determined by Asians themselves. This bold move signals the end of American primacy in the region, a reality that has been quietly building for years but is now undeniable. The symbolic lowering of the American flag marks the close of an era. This is not an act of hostility, but rather a declaration of independence and self-determination. The leaders are not turning their backs on old friends, but are instead choosing to walk their own path. In a joint statement, leaders from India, Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, South Korea, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, and one other, outlined a new framework for Asian cooperation. This framework is built on shared interests, mutual respect, and a vision for a more interconnected continent. They are not cutting ties with Washington, but are fundamentally downgrading strategic partnerships. The relationship is evolving from dependency to one of equals, with each side recalibrating its expectations. The age of American-led alliance in Asia is over. The era of Asia for Asians has begun. This is a turning point, a moment when the region asserts its own identity and priorities. This shift is the result of years of changing priorities, economic growth, and rising confidence across the continent. Asian economies have become engines of innovation and prosperity, no longer content to play a supporting role on the world stage. For decades, the U.S. provided security, allowing these nations to focus on prosperity. American military might was the backbone of regional stability, but times have changed. But as they grew stronger, the American-led order became more of a constraint than a benefit. Asian leaders now see new opportunities in forging their own path, unburdened by old alliances. The desire for autonomy, once whispered in private meetings, is now a collective roar echoing through parliaments and public squares. The people of Asia are demanding a future shaped by their own hands. The Asian 10 statement emphasized mutual respect, non-interference, and regional solutions. They are charting a course that prioritizes dialogue and cooperation over confrontation. The subtext is unmistakable. The U.S. is now seen as an external power, no longer the indispensable nation it once was. Its influence, while still significant, is now balanced by a chorus of independent voices. These countries are building their future around a new center of gravity, closer to home, rooted in their own cultures and ambitions. The construction cranes and bustling cities are symbols of a continent on the rise. This is a strategic choice, not a rejection born of anger. It is a calm, calculated decision to pursue a future that reflects the region's true potential. We are witnessing the peaceful rise of a post-American world. The sun is rising on a new era, one defined by cooperation, competition, and a diversity of voices. The unipolar moment is over. A multipolar system has arrived. Power is now distributed among many centers, each contributing to a more complex and dynamic world order. In Asia, China is a new pole, but so is a coalition of strong independent nations. Together, they are shaping a future that is both competitive and collaborative. The implications for global trade, security, and diplomacy are immense. As these nations take charge of their destiny, the world must adapt to a new reality, one where Asia leads not just in economics, but in vision and influence. India's participation in this new Asian bloc marks perhaps the most significant shift in its foreign policy in decades. It's not just a diplomatic move, it's a statement of intent, signaling a new era for the region and for India itself. For years, Washington viewed India as a crucial counterweight to China's growing influence. Yet throughout this period, India has consistently emphasized its commitment to strategic autonomy, refusing to be drawn fully into any one camp. India never aspired to be a junior partner in someone else's grand strategy. Instead, it has always envisioned itself as a leader, charting its own course and shaping its own destiny on the world stage. Aligning more closely with other Asian powers is the logical extension of this independent approach. It's a move that reflects both pragmatism and ambition. India's leaders recognize that true prosperity and security would come from working hand in hand with their neighbors, rather than relying on distant superpowers whose interests may not always align with India's own. Today, China stands as India's largest trading partner, and regional initiatives like RCEP promise economic opportunities and integration on a scale the U.S. simply cannot match. These partnerships are reshaping the economic landscape of Asia. By choosing to be an architect of a new Asian order, India is stepping out of the shadow of the old American-led system. It's about building something new, not just supporting what already exists. This strategic pivot is driven by ambition. India seeks not just to balance power, but to lead, to innovate, and to inspire a new vision for Asia's future. By joining forces with other major Asian nations, India elevates its global status and engages China from a position of collective strength, rather than rivalry or isolation. India's approach has been one of quiet diplomacy and gradual disengagement from old dependencies. It invests in regional infrastructure, promotes the use of local currencies, and builds trust through consistent behind-the-scenes engagement. The message is clear. India values its enduring friendship with America, but its future, its destiny, is firmly rooted in Asia's dynamic landscape. Today, India is not just participating in Asia's rise, it is shaping the very future of the continent from within, forging a path that others are now beginning to follow. Malaysia and Indonesia, two of Southeast Asia's most influential nations and key members of ASEAN, have long walked a careful line between the world's great powers. Their histories are marked by a tradition of balancing external influences while fiercely protecting their own sovereignty and national interests. Their recent decision to join the new Asian alignment is more than a diplomatic move, it's a statement of intent. It reflects a deep belief in regional autonomy, a growing confidence in their ability to manage their own affairs, and a desire to shape their own destinies without undue interference from outside forces. Economic pragmatism has been a driving force behind their choices. For both countries, the future is undeniably tied to Asia, especially China, which has become their largest trading partner and a vital source of investment and technology. Indonesia, as Southeast Asia's largest economy, aspires to play a significant role on the global stage. To achieve this, it needs massive infrastructure investment, something China's Belt and Road Initiative has provided on a scale the West has struggled to match. Malaysia, meanwhile, has pursued an independent foreign policy, deepening its economic ties with China. Its prosperity now hinges on maintaining stable, mutually beneficial relations with its largest trading partner, while still keeping its options open. Both nations have chosen to manage disputes with China, such as those in the South China Sea, through patient diplomacy and negotiation, rather than relying on American military power or confrontation. Their gradual pivot away from the United States was not a sudden break, but a deliberate, carefully considered process that unfolded over years, reflecting changing realities in global politics and economics. To reinforce their independence, both countries diversified their military procurement, reducing reliance on American hardware. They also promoted the use of local currencies in trade, strengthening their financial sovereignty and resilience. Today, ASEAN-led mechanisms have become their top priority for security and conflict resolution, emphasizing regional solutions to regional problems and fostering unity among Southeast Asian nations. Ultimately, this shift isn't about choosing China over America. It's about choosing themselves. It's about asserting their right to determine their own future, on their own terms. For Malaysia and Indonesia, a stable and prosperous Asia is the best guarantee of security, growth, and opportunity for their people. Their vision is one of peace, development, and shared success. Malaysia and Indonesia are charting their own course, navigating a complex world with confidence and a clear sense of purpose. Regional integration and cooperation are now at the heart of their strategy, as they work with their neighbors to build a stronger, more united Southeast Asia. Vietnam and the Philippines joining the Asian bloc shocked many in the West. Both have territorial disputes with China and once relied on the US for security. Their pivot is a fundamental rethinking of national interests. Vietnam, with a tradition of independence, realized endless confrontation with China was unsustainable. Engaging China within an Asian framework offered more leverage than relying on a distant US. The Philippines, after years of wavering, decided the US alliance was no longer a reliable guarantee. Chinese trade and investment transformed the Philippine economy, shifting focus to economic cooperation. Both countries hedged, quietly downgrading US military ties while deepening economic and diplomatic links with China and ASEAN. The South China Sea became a resource management issue, not a military standoff. This was a risky but necessary gamble for their future. They are betting on prosperity and regional integration over military alliances. Vietnam and the Philippines are redefining security on their own terms. The region is no longer dominated by America. For Thailand and Cambodia, the shift to Asia-centric policy was a natural evolution. Both have deep cultural and economic ties with China, and this alignment cements a decade-long trend. Their focus is economic development and connectivity, not naval security. Thailand, once a US ally, drifted away due to American criticism and found China's non-interference and investment more appealing. Cambodia's embrace of China has been comprehensive, billions in aid and investment, no political strings attached. In return, Cambodia supports China within ASEAN. Both countries openly welcomed Chinese investment, upgraded military ties, and aligned diplomatically with Beijing. The era of balancing great powers is over for them. They have chosen the rising Asian continent with China at its core. South Korea's decision to join the Asian 10 reflects the pressures facing middle powers. A longtime U.S. ally, South Korea's economy is deeply tied to China. The balancing act between security and economics became unsustainable. Economic survival was the main driver. Decoupling from China would be catastrophic. South Korea's public and business leaders prioritized stable relations with Beijing. Frustration with Washington's inconsistent North Korea policy pushed Seoul closer to China, hoping for more influence over peninsula stability. South Korea recalibrated, not rejected, its U.S. alliance, seeking more control over its forces and resisting U.S.-led military initiatives. It pursued regional forums with China and Japan. Excluding the U.S., Seoul aims to remain a U.S. friend while integrating into a China-centered Asia. It's a risky strategy, but one Seoul believes is essential. South Korea is redefining its future in a new regional order. Kazakhstan's inclusion shows this shift reaches deep into Eurasia. Once reliant on Western investment, Kazakhstan now looks east. Geography is destiny. Kazakhstan is central to China's Belt and Road Initiative. The country is a vital transit corridor, with new infrastructure funded by China. Economic integration has led to closer political alignment. U.S. influence has waned. China is a permanent neighbor offering tangible benefits. Kazakhstan fully embraced its Silk Road role, aligning national strategy with the BRI. It deepened ties with Asian-led institutions, while not cutting off the West. Kazakhstan's future is now firmly tied to a rising, interconnected Eurasia. The common thread is China's rise as Asia's new center of influence. This isn't military dominance but economic gravity and a vision for regional development. China is now a massive market, investor, and tech leader for its neighbors. Its partnership model, non-interference, no political strings, appeals to many Asian governments. Initiatives like the Belt and Road and RCEP frame China's rise as a regional opportunity. New infrastructure and investment create powerful incentives to align with Beijing. This is not a formal empire, but a network of dependencies pulling the region into China's orbit. Countries are choosing this path, betting on an Asian century. The result, a new regional hierarchy, with China at the top, built on consent. The pivot of these 10 Asian nations marks the end of an era and forces a choice for the United States. The old strategy of American primacy has failed. Asia now leads itself. America can resist, doubling down on confrontation, but this would only alienate former partners and risk a new Cold War. Or, it can adapt, accepting a role as one great power among many. This means treating Asian nations as genuine partners, not junior allies. Compete with China through innovation, not military containment. Re-engage with regional institutions and find common ground on global challenges. A stable, prosperous Asia benefits the world, including America. The age of dominance may be over, but American influence can endure if it chooses cooperation over confrontation. The U.S. must embrace a more complex, decentralized global system to find its place in the Asian century.